If you're watching this video, it means you've probably already seen my "What are we gonna do with all these Avenger babies" video that came out maybe 2 or 3 days ago. If you have not, there'll be a little card for it right now. Go watch that video. Because I wanted to address a couple of characters that I did not talk about in my video, but I saw a lot of comments about, people had a lot of questions about. Some are ones that I didn't even think anybody would care about. Some are ones I genuinely forgot existed. So I'm gonna go over all the characters that I forgot, just like real quick where I think they show up, if they show up, all that stuff. The first one, the one I got the most of, Harley from Iron Man 3. I would say there's absolutely no way we ever see this kid again if he did not show up at Iron Man's funeral in Endgame. I still don't see it. There's too many, there's already Ironheart. So what's this kid gonna do? Another kid genius who is Iron Man's? Because we also already have Spider-Man. So we have so many kid geniuses that are one level under Spider-Man. We also have Morgan Stark, who's probably a kid genius because of, I don't know, genetics or whatever. So I don't see it. The only thing I've heard people say is he should be a Kang variant, which would make sense if Kang was white, but I just don't think they're gonna do that. Make this kid, this white kid, the variant of Jonathan Majors Kang, since one thing we do seem to know about all the Kangs is they all look like Jonathan Majors with different hats on. I don't think this could not be done, or he could not be an Iron Lad type character. I think A, there's no space for him, B, he does not look like Jonathan Majors but young, and C, I think a lot of people don't know that guy exists in the universe. Like, they've forgotten about him. He hasn't come up yet. You know, he didn't show up at Endgame with like that big giant gun that Iron Man holds over his shoulder in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or something. So I just don't think he is a priority. I'm nothing against him. I think he's interesting enough, but I just don't think that character, we will ever see him again. Next one, the Runaways. Okay, I'm going to do this in 2 parts. Everyone but Nico, I don't think we'll ever see them again. One, because I don't think their stories are all that interesting outside of the Runaways show or like a Runaways comic, right? Like, very few of those characters, to my knowledge, have broken out of the Runaways story. That being said, I think Nico could absolutely be in a Strange Academy show. Apparently, we see her mom, Tina, I think that's it. I always get the names confused. I'm sure Tina's mom, Nico's kid. We see Tina prepping the weapon that is her weapon, which honestly, I can never remember the name of all whatever the staff is that she uses during the fight, and it's seen from Doctor Strange 1. So, like, her mom is a sorcerer using that weapon. So it only makes sense that if that character died or whatever, and like Tina finds that weapon, like, I think if anything, they recast her. No, you know what? They could keep the actor. I'm not sure how old she is, but I guess what I mean is they don't recast her, but I don't think the continuity of Runaways counts as much as you would expect. I think if anything, they do it Daredevil, where they kind of boot her, but it's like, hey, didn't you do some things with some kids in LA? Yeah, it's not quite what you heard, but yeah, there was some stuff going on and we kind of dealt with it. Now they're doing their own thing, I'm doing my own thing, I'm doing magic at the Strange Academy, so here we are. Like, I could see that being all we get out of her. Honestly, I watched the first season of that show, enjoyed it, watched a little bit of the second season of that show, and then didn't see the third season. And like, I know Elizabeth Hurley comes in as Morgan Le Fay. Another thing people said in the comments is like, they already have a Morgan Le Fay. Well, like, not really. They could. She could show up as Morgan Le Fay, but I just don't think, there's no indication that the Runaways happened in the MCU as far as any of the core MCU stuff is concerned. And for that reason, it's like, she could be the Morgan Le Fay of this universe, but she's probably not. I think if we get a Strange Academy show with, like the ones I was saying, Billy, Miss Marvel, Kid Loki, America Chavez, I think there's a very good chance Tina is there as a teacher or someone who's like one level above them. I cannot remember the name of the character in the new Strange Academy comic, like the actual Strange Academy comic, not like the new one, but like the recent, whatever that one started, 2019 run. But there is a teacher who is kind of not like a POV character, because the kids are all the POV characters, but she is kind of almost like your straight man character in the teachers, like teacher's lounge, who we're supposed to be like, we're supposed to see everything through her eyes. I do not remember what this character's name is, but it's been a while since I read this book. I think I got maybe 10, 11 issues into it, and I like that. I think it's a cool book. So I feel like she could be that, because she'll be in her late 20s. She'll be far older than all the other magical characters. But yeah, I think she should be a Kamartaj. I think it would be cool. And then get the same actor. Like I said, give her a vague backstory. We've done things like this before. It usually works. Another thing people brought up, the New Warriors, is that they almost made that show. She's too old for Doreen now. Milana Vaintrub, I think is the actor's name. Like, and by she's too old, I mean, like, she could technically play this character, but like, if they want to do college age Doreen, if they want to take her most popular run, kind of do that, she's too old for that character. Also, I said she was in high school in the book, or in the video, but I was wrong. It's college. I knew it was college too, because like I've read that, and I read it specifically before before I did the Squirrel Girl special presentation. But that being said, yeah, she's in college, so that doesn't make a difference. It's just like, you guys were right in the comments if you said that. And I don't think any of the rest of those New Warriors count. I don't remember who was in it, besides there was a version of Mr. Immortal or something, and I think there was also a Speedball. I would bet there was a Night Thrasher, but like any of those characters, like, I don't think the Runaways make it, and they had 3 seasons of a show. These guys don't even have a leaked pilot, so that one ain't happening. So I did not watch much of this show, but there's Cloak and Dagger is another one that people like, have them show up. I really don't know much about these two characters. Specifically, I don't know how they usually would connect to the Marvel universe. You know what I mean? Like, I know that I don't think they're magic. Now I feel dumb. They could be magic, but they're not like magic users. They almost feel more like X-Men. Like, I don't think they're mutants either, but like, I'm pretty sure he is powered by the Dark Force, and I don't know what her deal is, but either way, they had a show people quite liked that was on like Freeform or something, and it was about those two characters in Louisiana just doing their thing, and they are kids, so it would make sense that they could be on a team like this, and I think that would be fine. I wouldn't I wouldn't expect it to happen, because they're just not, that is a show most people haven't seen, and neither of those things, like, they don't have a really easy into either the magic school thing, like they could be there, but I wouldn't say it's what they're known for, or the Avengers thing, because they don't know any Avengers. So as far as my pitch is concerned with this, Young Avengers is like college-aged Avengers kids, and Champions is kind of strange academy, younger magical kids. I don't think they fit in either of those boxes. I also think they're in-universe supposed to be too old. Like, I could see them showing up in one of these shows or something. Like, they could show up in, like, Ironheart to help fight the Hood. But I don't see them as being part of this plan, the Marvel plan. Other characters people mentioned, Valeria and Franklin Richards. Both the Fantastic Four kids. I don't think we get them for a little while. I've heard rumors that they might be around when Fantastic Four starts. And I think that's interesting. And if that's the case, maybe they would be on one of these. I don't know. But again, I think they're too powerful, kind of. I think you do Future Foundation with them like they do in the books and have that be its own thing. Let me see if there's anybody else on the list. There were a couple characters that I was like, oh yeah, I should probably mention them. Like, there's a bunch of mutants. I don't think any of the mutants would show up here. Right? Like, there's the Wasp, the Nadia. I don't think Nadia shows up here. I think that'd be interesting, but also it's like, we've already got Stature pretty much doing that, so I don't see a reason to throw her in. There really are just a lot of these guys that you could put in a story like this. If Marvel has not already done them in something, I think they show up. But if Marvel has put them in something, like if they got a Runaways or a Cloak and Dagger, and it's not something like Fantastic Four, which is really important, I just don't see why Marvel would rush to include these guys from a show that people kind of like, but really haven't thought about in a while. Like, it just doesn't seem possible outside of Tina, who I do think is a pretty important character and factors into what is happening in the MCU in ways that would make sense. Like, she could be very naturally brought into this. And I don't think the Spider characters are completely out of, like, possibility. If anything, I think you could, like, sneak Silk into here. You know, because I just do think Miles is too high profile for this, and he's not yet introduced. But Yeah, I could see some of the Spider-Man adjacent characters showing up. We should get, what's his name? Alpha? That awful, like, what is he? He's a, like, Spider-Man's electricity kid sidekick that didn't really work. I think you could get him. But yeah, no, I feel like based on everybody that I just said, and I'm looking at another list of just teen heroes in case there's anybody I forgot, but I really do think I've gotten all of them. If not, maybe this will be another video. But that's what I think. Those are the ones that I think would make sense to bring back, but also I really don't think there's that many of them. Gwenpool is another one that came up. Gwenpool is interesting because she is part of the West Coast Avengers that Kate forms. So let me look at that list right now, because I don't think many of those are like characters that would make sense here, but there are a couple of them. So Kate's West Coast Avengers, Kate Bishop, obviously, Hawkeye, Gwenpool, Quentin Quire, so Kid Omega. He could maybe be in it, but he's an X-Men kid, so he wouldn't make sense. America Chavez, obviously, and then Fuse, who I believe in the story is a guy who is dating Kate at the time and has the power to, like, kind of absorbing man powers, can, like, turn into a metal he touches. So that's why I think he has, like, a vibranium nose ring or something like that. So, like, they could throw him into something. Like, if they did a West Coast Avengers thing, he could be there. And then Kate could meet him and be like, oh, you're a superhero, come join the team. But yeah, and so Kid Omega is a mutant. He doesn't, like, it would be really weird if we got him this early in the whole run of the X-Men. Unless the X-Men have been going for a while and he's there. Because his whole thing is he's kind of this punk, like, who comes into the X-Men during the Morrison run and starts trouble. Oh, Magneto was right. Like, that's Quentin Quire. And I don't think he works if we don't have an established X-Men history to play with. And if you don't do that part of him, I just don't see the point. Like, I don't think he's that interesting. He's just another snarky mutant kid with lots of powers. And then Gwenpool. So Gwenpool is really complicated because she is a comic. She's from, like, kind of our universe as far as I believe, who reads the comics, or I guess in this universe would watch the movies, knows these guys are, and ends up in that universe. And, like, we could do her after Deadpool, but I don't know. I was never a humongous fan of Gwenpool. I don't hate her in the books, but I don't think she's quite, like, necessary. I will say, one other character that I actually think you can make a case for in these books is Tigra, who shows up in this book. Now, she is older, like, she's Hawkeye's age. She's one of his, like, kind of compatriots from his West Coast Avengers days. If you've seen the Chippendales movie, she's in there because she was in the bad Avengers cartoon from back in the day. Not bad. Well, it's not Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the good Avengers cartoon. It's the other one. But her name is Greer. I can't remember what her last name is. That might be her last name. Either way, one of Kate's friends in Hawkeye is named Greer. So it could be that character becomes Tigra, but, like, or not. I don't have strong feelings about that. Like, I think it's possible, but I mostly just don't really care. Or, like, I don't think it's worth the trouble of, you know, giving this character tiger powers when we already have so many other characters that are already in this universe that we're trying to figure out a place for. So, yeah, those are the ones I think so, in conclusion, you could maybe do Fuse. He's possible. He's doable. I think bringing Nico in is maybe the most realistic out of everybody that I just named. You could throw Cloak and Dagger into something, but I don't think they need to be on either of these teams, because also they're just their own thing, right? Cloak and Dagger are Cloak and Dagger, and they're a duo that works together well. I think some of these other guys are like, no, you're usually on the Young Avengers, you're usually on the Champions, so you should do that. And I think we're going to need to save the spots on those teams for those characters. And like I said, you could put Harley in some of these, but I just don't. It doesn't feel like something that's a priority. So that's my thoughts. I would say, you know, I've been talking about some comics. The West Coast Avengers Kate Bishop one by Kelly Thompson is a very fun series. It's like 10 issues long or something like that. It's very short. I would really recommend reading that if you want to read a fun little Avengers, or like West Coast Avengers story. And a good story, well, like, first of all, shows the Kate America friendship, which is important, and I hope we actually do in one of these. Also, maybe more importantly, if you haven't read a book with Kate and Hawkeye in it, especially not the Fraction one, Fraction one has it, but like this one has both of them kind of being a mess together when they are both kind of fully formed characters, and I think it really works. And that's why I feel like him showing up and being like, hey, let me help you, and she's like, no, I'm doing my own thing, and also you don't have it all together either. I don't know, I just really like those two characters together. It's part of why I think that Hawkeye show really works. But I like in this book that they let Kate be trying really hard, but still not perfect. And that's something that I think has been written consistently. Like, that character is written that way pretty consistently, and it's part of why I think everybody likes her so much. So I think that West Coast Avengers book, Kelly Thompson, Stefano Caselli, and Triona Farrell, it's a very fun book, and that is my comic recommendation of the video. A thing I keep saying I'm going to forget to do, but so far I have not, although there is not one in the next video, but I might put it in anyway. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you liked the first video that this was based on, and if you have any other characters that I've already forgotten about, let me know, and I maybe will say something. I guess the other one you could say is Quake, but she's too old. She's in her 30s. She's not either one of these. I don't think anybody from S.H.I.E.L.D. would fit. No, yeah, there's no S.H.I.E.L.D. characters that would work here. And I don't think anybody from Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist, Punisher, yeah, none of them work either. So, if we're talking about young kid characters, it's Nico or nothing is honestly who I think we get. So, thank you everybody for watching. Stay safe. I'll see you next time.